to Construction Excellence Podcast. As always, with all the guests, we want to know a little bit more about you, and really, if you could just take us back and your journey into the world of construction.
Oh, wow. To be honest, I don't think it's very interesting compared to a lot of people that you've probably had on here. But construction-wise, I've not actually been in the industry that long. I did actually work for a construction training company, and he had two different companies. So he had one where he did refurbs and build houses, and then the other side he just trained property investors to save money on like refurbs and things like that. So people would probably know him up in like the northeast Lincolnshire area, but I'm not too sure if it was, down south that people would probably know him. But I started off there. I worked there for about a year, and then quickly I jumped ship to Compariqo. So I've only been really in the industry for like 2 years now, but I've always had quite diverse job roles. So I'm always open to trying something new. So yeah, it wasn't really like a long history.
What did you do? Did you have anything? So were you involved? What was kind of school then, in education wise? Was it involved in anything to do with construction or business?
No, nothing in construction, nothing in business. It was literally, I did criminology, I studied IT and computer science, and then I studied law. So it was nothing to do with construction at all. It was something that just kind of just came, and I just went for it. And to be honest, it's been good since. I've learned a lot about different areas of construction, which I probably never knew before. To be honest, I would have never just gone out my way to have a look into the construction industry. My dad, was in it, but he just did building of commercial, like Tesco's and stuff. So I wasn't really like a big, tell me about it sort of thing. It was just kind of like he just did it, and then I just passed it over. So yeah.
I think we've all got. My journey is exactly the same. I fell into construction. I didn't even do anything at school to do with construction. Nothing to do with business. But here we are, just now in a world. And it's not until you get later on that you realise actually what you enjoy is working with people, and that's obviously what you enjoy doing a lot of. Enjoying, the people side of it.
I know, it's one of those things where you don't really think about going into it, and then when you're in it, there's loads of different loopholes that you want to know about it. Because I didn't think the industry was this big until I actually got into it, and I thought, oh wow, there's actually loads to it.
Yeah, there is. There's hundreds of angles. So the reason I met you was because you were obviously being quite present on LinkedIn, talking about structural warranties. And I know I'm a joke, like no one makes structural warranties kind of exciting, but you just seem to have this angle of like, how can I bring my personal brand in this, and actually that be the driver behind it? Because in all honesty, structural warranties isn't an exciting topic unless you're speaking to the person that needs a structural warranty. So I think you've done quite well there to change the angle and just get attention. You actually did come into conversation the other day, because I use that as an example of, next time I need a structural warranty, genuinely, the only person I think of is you, and that's because of what you're doing. So just tell me about when you joined Compariqo and your kind of thinking around, right, I need to go out and sell structural warranties. Was LinkedIn part of that strategy, or were you just, I need to go out and talk to people about it?
So it was kind of like a hit or miss, and I know people at work will be like, oh, Sukanya. We've all got our different ways of working. It's obviously in sales, you can cold call, you can email market, you can go through social media, you can go through referrals, and there's all sorts of things you can do. And I did have LinkedIn prior, but I think I had like one follower or like one connection. I didn't actually know how to use it. And then when I started the job, they said, oh, well, everyone needs a LinkedIn. You need to, like do stuff on there. But at the time, I had to get shown how to use LinkedIn because I had no idea how to use it. So people in marketing, Abby, she's lovely. She showed me how to use LinkedIn. She set me up on Sales Navigator. And I was like, well, what am I meant to do on this now? So when we was left to our own devices, it was kind of like we have KPIs and we've got metrics to hit. And don't like falling behind. I always want to be the best or be at the top. So I thought, well, cold calling nowadays is good to a certain extent, but I think times are changing in sales. I think you need to, build a connection with the customer, because anyone can sell you anything over the phone, but you don't really get like a feel to it. Unless you need it, you're not going to answer the phone call really, and you're not going to drag the conversation quite long. So I thought, well, how can I put a personal touch to it so people know it's me and I'm not some person trying to scam them? And so I thought, well, I'm going to just try and put a personal touch to it, do it on LinkedIn, make it quite fun, because these days some posts are quite boring and you just scroll past them and think, oh, it's not really interactive or anything. So I thought,
Yeah.
well, I'll just try it and I'll see what happens. And then I started doing some posts, got into sort of like a rhythm, and then I was like, okay, I'll just keep doing it. So I just built
Yeah.
it like that. And the main purpose behind it was because I wanted to hit my metrics at work. It wasn't
Yeah.
anything
Yeah.
else. And it kind of just turned into something
Yeah.
bigger than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I can echo that. You're absolutely right. It feels like it started off as reaching out, and at next minute there's a platform there that actually has got, it's got weight to it. It almost becomes an asset for you, doesn't it? Like, you've got this community that people are engaging, talking to you. And then I guess what you're now probably seeing or realizing is that actually I can take this with me for the rest of my days, and not like you're saying you're leaving Compariqo, but what I mean is building something for you that belongs to you. That's really powerful. And I think I was in exactly the same place. It was like, let's go find some leads, and next minute it's like, wow, there's actually a lot we can do with this. So yeah, I think, because I've never met anyone that did structural warranties before, so that's why I do use you sometimes as a great example of how powerful it is, because it isn't something you think about. And unfortunately, the challenges of how hard and difficult it can be to get structural warranties into somebody's mind. It's the last thing. A lot of the time, it's like they have this vision of what they want to build, and I want the windows like this and this and this, and then it takes you to kind of drop in at the end and go, what about your warranty? And it's like, oh yeah, I best not forget that. And just being at the forefront, and I think you've done really well with that. How comfortable are you with it? I know we're talking about LinkedIn here a bit, but I think it's really important because that's how we met, in all honesty, and it's worked. Are you quite, obviously, the type of posts you're putting on there, are you kind of like mixing it up? Is there a strategy behind it, or are you just like throw it out, see what works?
Yeah, so at first I thought, oh, maybe there's like certain times that I can post and people will be online. When I started Googling stuff at like when's the best time to do it, and I did do it for quite a while. I was quite on top of it and quite just, I'll do it at this time, I'll do it that time. But then in the end, I thought, I'm just going to wing it and see what happens. And I
Yeah.
sort of did. And I don't schedule my posts, I just don't do it. Whatever I'm doing on that day, I'll either take a picture and I'll be like, okay, I'll write a caption and I'll just post it. And then I just see what happens. There is times where I'm like, oh, it hasn't got as many views as I'd like it to get. It hasn't reached the right people. But sometimes you can't really tell when everyone's going to be online. So if you just, because sometimes I see things from like a week ago that someone's posted, not something like current. So I think
Yeah.
the full
Yeah.
feed got like changed anyway. So I just leave it. And I think, well, even if they don't see it today, they'll see it at some point. So then,
Yeah.
they'll see it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know LinkedIn, as in a whole, I've actually like navigated it, but I don't follow the rules and I don't follow the structure. I kind of just do it as and when, and just if I'm doing something that day and I feel like I want to
Yeah.
post, then I'll just post.
Probably the best way, in it. I think you can get tied into that. Oh, I'm going to post at 8 o'clock every Monday, and people do say, "Oh, keep consistency," but 8 o'clock on a Monday morning, kids can have a meltdown, and it's like, well, I ain't got time now to do it, and then all of a sudden you feel like you've fallen off track. So I'm very
Yeah,
much like
exactly.
that, winging it.
Yeah, everything just happens in the day, like with kids and taking them to school. Because I know my son, he always has a bloody cold, and in the morning, like if I'm thinking I need to like post, I just leave it because, you know, I'm busy, I'm doing something, so I just leave it till a bit later on in the day. But yeah, people are very structured with their posts, especially if they're all over it. But my content's just there for pretty much business and my
Yeah,
wins. So yeah.
yeah. So just talk to us then about Compariqo and the work that you do. I've seen the team, because of your posts, I see the team, so I get to learn about them just through your posting alone, which is, says a lot immediately. So what type of business is it? What type of work does it do?
Yeah, so we do construction insurances. So anything that you'd probably need on a project or development. So we do structural warranties, which we mainly specialise in bonds. We do site insurance, insurance back guarantee. So we've got the full market. Even though we do specialise in certain areas, we've got a market for pretty much everything that covers insurance. And then we've got relationships with different companies that we can help with development finance and things like that. So, you know, building control, we've got everything in one. So it's you kind of like, it sounds really cliche to say, but it's kind of like your one-stop shop for everything insurance for projects and
Yeah,
developments, whether it's finished or you need like a retrospective, or whether you're just at the very beginning and you need site insurance, you need a warranty because you're about to start, you need a bond. We literally cover everything. And with the team as well, they are really hard workers and we're a really fun team to work with as well. It's not a big team where you have to go through 5 different people just to get an answer. We
yeah,
manage our own account, so everything from start to finish is through one person.
right,
So we're at the forefront of that warranty or bond throughout the whole process, whether it's a year, whether it's 2 years. We're always there. So it is a good
yeah,
team. And I know it's a bit cliche to say that, you know, everyone passes off insurance. Everyone's like, oh, it's another insurance call, it's another insurance pitch. But I think behind all of that, the full company like really do try the best to be
yeah,
competitive and be at the front of the market. They're always and they're always like 2 step ahead of everybody else. If you think like the market's, you know, everything's automated, we don't have like our quote time is not going to take like 2-3 weeks. Like majority, we're always ahead of the game, and
yeah.
that's what's really good with the full team. And you know, behind the scenes are always working.
I didn't know you were doing a book. You
Yeah.
just kind of dropped it in out of nowhere and went, I've got a book. I was like, wow, that honestly really impressive. So fair play. But just give us a bit of a background about it. And yeah, tell us about this book.
Yeah, so no one actually knew that I was doing a book. So no one actually knew. And to be honest, I didn't really actually know myself. It was one of those things that I wanted to do for ages. And I started writing something and I didn't really know where I wanted to go with it. And then I just left it. And then life just gets in the way and you think, I've done one paragraph and I was like, no, I don't want to do it anymore. So then I just left it on like the desktop on my PC and I was like, okay, I'll just leave it. And then when something happens, I'm like, okay, I could probably write about that. And it's just sort of like a bit of a therapy thing. So then I was like, okay, I'll write that. And then I had like 50 different just Word documents of just one paragraph. And I was like, where am I actually going with this? So in the end, I thought, actually, like, someone could actually be sitting here thinking the same things that I'm thinking, or beating yourself up about different things because, you know, life is a shitstorm and you get so many stuff just thrown at you and you think you're just either in the dumps or you're feeling sorry for yourself or you're like, oh, I don't know how to do this or anything like that. So I just thought my way of dealing with stuff is writing. So I'll like write all my stuff down and I'll be like, oh, I feel like this, I feel like that. So I just thought if I connect it all together and then put it as if I'm telling people like how I feel, have a bit of scenario, tell them how they feel and their mindset, then it might actually just give someone a kick up the arse, so you say.
Yeah,
So yes, so I started writing it properly and I merged loads of different of the paragraphs together. And I thought, oh, actually, I could go somewhere with this. So it took a while to do. I never did it properly until the last few months where I thought, actually, I'm going to put them all together and do it as a proper layout. Um, and then and then by the time I did it, it finished. And I thought, well, what am I going to do with it now? So I thought, I'll publish it. And it might, help somebody, even if someone takes a snippet of it away, to think, oh, I
Yeah,
actually do that, or I think like that. But
yeah,
the background of the book is I made sure that every chapter that I did, because you say it's a self-development book, I'd say, but it's not the fluffy, sugar-coated version. It's quite like raw, unfiltered. It really makes you think about yourself. So it's not me saying everything's going to be fine. You're going to let fate take its fate. It's going to like work out in 2 years. It's literally nothing like that. So every chapter, I made sure that it pulls a layer of yourself to make you think about the choices you make,
yeah.
how how you're going to do things going forward. If you've ever said the wrong thing to somebody and you're filled with guilt, it's every chapter will strip a layer of yourself where you have to question yourself.
I love that. And
And
do you know what's interesting is so many books out there are all like, they're all like from major kind of people that have got like, they've made £100 million and they talk about the journey to 100 million. I've got 5 billion. I've got a jet. I've got this, and all you need to do is do this. And it's like, come on, mate. Like, I literally at home, I've got 2 kids here. I get up at 5:30 a.m. There's crap all over the floor, and I think it's giving that real life example, isn't it? And that absolutely relates, and I will 100% read it because there's so much relatable stuff, and we all go through the same thing. I'm in the same position as you. I work in business development. I'm involved in this world, and sometimes you think, is this right? I try to be like more professional, and here I am, like, a meltdown when I get home, and people don't see that. So I love that. I love what you've created, to be fair.
yeah, I really wanted to make it raw and real because there's sections of scenarios, there's sections of stuff that I've been through. It doesn't delve deep into it, but things that I've felt and things that I've done. And it really opens up with the fact that we all make mistakes. We all say stuff that's probably at the wrong time or we shouldn't have said. We self-pity ourselves sometimes if things are going wrong. So, I've opened up and said that I have been like that and I am like that and I'm still working on it. So for people to think that it just changes overnight, or if they look on social media and think, he's so successful, how has he done that? And people want that life, and it's just not about that. You don't know what's going on behind closed doors, and you don't know how someone truly feels, because if you see someone at a networking event or see someone out on the street and they've got like a really good front, you don't know how they're feeling when they could have loads of stuff on that you don't know. So I just
Yeah,
wanted to write it so people actually feel real about themselves and actually comes to terms with, I have made a mistake, I have fucked up in the past, and this is what I'm going to do going forward. And there is a few little swear words in there and a few harsh direct messages, but I didn't want to sugarcoat it, because how are
I
you going
love
to
it.
learn if someone's
Exactly,
trying to
exactly. And it's coming from it's coming from what you could call as every kind of leader. And that's the thing, it's having that realism behind it. So I absolutely, I 100% relate to it. When's it out? What's it called, by the way? I didn't even ask you what it was called.
it's called Rip Off the Band-Aid. And
That's right.
yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. And I changed it really last minute. I actually, because there's a few of us that have worked on it, so I'm not going to take all the credit for all of the design and the internal design, because I was rubbish at that. So I did got a little team of people, to designers, to sort everything like that out. And when he started to create the front cover, obviously I had to give a guide of what I wanted. And I really wanted it quite simple and straight to the point, but I wanted every word and image to all relate to each other. But when he finished it, I was like, actually, I don't like the name of it. So within 2 seconds of him showing me, I was like, that we need to change that. And all I did was think, oh God, I don't know what to call it now. That needs to relate to that image, because I didn't want him to go back to change the whole thing. So yeah, so within 2 seconds I literally changed it and then just kept it. So it wasn't even, I
Yeah.
didn't really think too deep into the title of it. It was just really
Yeah.
changed in a minute. But yeah, that's what it's called. I did say it was going to be out in December because I wanted to make sure that it was literally perfect. But then I realised every book isn't perfect, because you're going to want to keep adding more to it. You're going to want to keep changing stuff. And I must have read it over 100 times, and I must have changed it over 100 times. Every time I read it, I'll change something. So in the end, I thought, right, if I just release it,
Yeah.
I can stop changing it, because it's at the point where it's not a big book. It's a like a decent, straight to the point book where you're not going to forget what you've just read within like a
Yeah.
week's time, because there's only so much you can really say on certain topics anyway. So yeah, so back to the release. Sorry, I'm just like going off on one.
No, it's
So back to
fine.
the release. I did say December.
So what do you think it'll be before then?
Definitely. So it's actually gone up to publish now, but
Right.
I'm going to get what you'd say like the original version. So the original version will be sent to me next week as the hard copy. So it is going on Kindle and it is going on Amazon as well. But what's good about that is, because it's gone to Amazon's standards, so it's able to go through Amazon and people can get like next day delivery and stuff on it as well. With Prime, it's actually gone all over Amazon. So like, it's not even just UK based. It's like China, it's like America. It's literally it's literally everywhere. And I didn't think I'd actually publish it everywhere, to be honest. But it has. So I will get the original hard copy next week, which is quite exciting. I wasn't going to tell anybody, but I might as well say. And then once I approve the original version, I will just literally put it live. Yeah. So whenever I feel like it's ready, I'll just put it. So it literally, I'm not going to put a time on it, but it'll be probably in like the next 2 weeks, or probably the next week. But December was my deadline.
You need to just rip off the band-aid and do it, don't you? Just do it. Like, you need to do what your book title is and just do it. Like, that's so funny. That's quite a coincidence that's called that. Yeah, you just need to do it. Ironic, 100%. But then what about like an audio version, like an audio book version then? Have you thought of that?
Yeah, so actually I am working on an audio version. So I've got the audio cover finished, because I didn't think, as much as it went into it, I didn't think there'd be this much work to actually go into publishing a book, but there's so much stuff to do. It's actually ripped me off for like the past 4 weeks actually trying to get it to publish, because you've got to make sure it's got all like the barcodes and all that stuff on it. But yeah, that is definitely the next thing that I'm going to do. So once the Kindle version's out, once the hard copy's out, it will be for an audiobook as well.
Lovely. Oh, good. I know, I'm really excited. I'll 100% get it. It's so nice to see it. I've thought about it for a while, and, it's like, because I've read hundreds of books on business development, but they're all so kind of off the scale, ridiculous in some aspects, like... And I'm like, where's the reality one? Where's Dan Newton that lives in Yorkshire where it's freezing cold and and all that? And that's what you've created, and that's why it'll do so well, because it's relatable to the masses, and you might actually have some success from it. To be perfectly honest,
I know, that's what everyone said, because when I actually put it on LinkedIn and then I put it on some other bits of social media as well, I actually got quite good feedback and quite a good hype on it. And I never actually wrote it for it to be like really hyped up, or for it to be like a good sell of a book or anything like that, or to be classed as an author. I never wrote it for that. I wrote it because it was like a form of therapy. We all obviously go through stuff, so I wrote it because it's just how I felt at the time, and things have happened, and I just thought it's better to write it than actually sit in front of a therapist and talk about it. So
Yeah, fair play.
So I
Fair play.
only wrote it for that. And yeah, I thought it'd be relatable for some people, which is the only reason why I released it. But it delves into everything. So it doesn't just delve into work or it delves into personal life, it delves into relationships, everything. It delves into your mindset. It just goes into everything that just as a collective, what you do in a day, what you do as a
Yeah, yeah.
person, and everything. So yeah, I
Exciting.
hope
Oh,
people like it.
so you're gonna have to update your title. You're gonna have to put author in there somewhere, aren't you? You've probably thought, where am I going to fit it in? 100%.
Oh,
100%. You know, created somewhere.
yeah. So hopefully people like it and people enjoy it, but I know that it won't be everyone's cup of tea. Like some
Yeah,
people will think it's a bit too harsh, will think it's a bit too direct, but it's it's the people that really want to know about themselves and want to learn and want to grow. So I think that's the main, that it's for those sort of people. So even if someone reads it and think, oh, I don't like it, it's that's fine that you don't like
yeah.
it. You just don't want to grow, or you
Exactly,
don't
and
really
that's
want
the
to.
thing. You know, when you push yourself out there and do more, you open yourself up for criticism, don't you? And that is just that of the journey. Like what you do with your LinkedIn, we always open ourselves up. As soon as we put ourselves on a platform, I read quite a quote from somebody. It's like, you know, with growth comes kind of, not, assault from the masses, and yeah, it's just part of it. They come hand in hand, and you got to be okay with that. You are putting yourself on there on a big platform, but you've got a lot more support, as I would have thought, than you have of the people that are hating on it. But look, it's amazing, and I think what you've done. I think what's been lovely about this session is it's just getting to know more about you and who you are and stuff, and getting to talk a bit more about the business and the book, and that's what this platform is. It's just bringing the construction industry together, and hopefully the episodes has given a little bit of exposure and people get to know you a little bit more. So yeah, thank you so much for coming on, Sukanya. I really appreciate it.
It's all right. Well, thanks for having me. It's my first ever podcast, so hopefully it's gone okay.
Well, that'll be the next thing you'll be doing, creating your own podcast. Call it, yeah,
Oh,
the Sukanya Show. That'll be amazing. We'll get that going.
oh, could you imagine? Oh no, I don't know. I'll leave that to someone who does a podcast. I'll just be a guest on
Yeah.
them.
I'll get the naming rights before I start it, though.
Yeah.
But, yeah, lovely. Thank you so much.
Oh well, thanks.